Sorry for the shake, everyone. So we are outside of Barclays in London, where I will step back a bit. We have an individual who has climbed on top. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to move onto the other side of the road when it's safe to show, but we have everyone sitting down outside. Just going to move right outside of Barclays. We had a cherry picker getting the individual up, so we kind of were sitting to be safe, but yeah, I'm just going to cross the road so we can see what's happening from further away. So you can see individual who's on top. We are here demanding that Barclays and other banking institutions stop their investments into destructive industries that are killing the planet, and specifically ones that are contributing to the exploitation of animals in animal agriculture and fishing, which are destroying our planet as well. So this is day 4 of the rebellion. I'm sure many of you have been tuning in and watching to see what happens. There's loads of events happening in London with Animal Rebellion and Extinction Rebellion as well. So if you're able to come on down, you definitely should right now if you can, or for the other events, we have more actions. You can find them on our event page for this weekend. And yeah, come show your support that we demand these changes to end animal farming and fishing, to create a more just and sustainable world for not only the animals but for the planet and for people as well. So with government subsidies, these industries are heavily subsidized by the government to make it affordable for individuals to consume animal products and byproducts. And we need these to stop, as one of the leading causes of species extinction, water pollution, deforestation, and ocean dead zones. These need to end so that we can create a more just and sustainable world for everybody. And to do that, we do need the government to stop subsidizing these industries. We need the government to be making these transitions. It doesn't come up down to each one of us for this change, but really we need change fast. We need it really fast. We have 5 months left to mitigate the worst effects of climate breakdown, and we need that so drastically. And that's why we really need to come together to unite, continue to put pressures on the pillars in society, the government, media, education, the legal system, all to be creating the change that we so desperately need. And that is why we are all here today. We are calling for system change, calling for a change in our food system, because our current food system is broken. It's, hurting trillions of animals a year. It's completely depleting our oceans. It's, one of the main causes of deforestation, where also we have indigenous communities being displaced. And we're also seeing, we need support for farmers. With COVID, many farmers are struggling with their livelihood, and we're asking for this transition to support farmers in, becoming more sustainable in farming practices. And we really want a food system that takes care of everybody. So it's including the workers that are in these destructive industries. And also, just for everyone. That's what we really need. So right now it looks like, sorry, it's kind of hard to see. I'm on the other side of the road, so you can see the individual who is on top. So they have another surprise for us coming up soon. They're just getting ready. Police have arrived. No vans just quite yet. And we have, looks like Extinction Rebellion joining as well. Marching down. So it looks like XR, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, what's going on over there. But we are seeing them crossing the street, and we are here outside of Barclays demanding that they stop investing into these destructive industries and transition the banking finance institutions to put their money not into destructive industries, but ones that will create a better world for everyone. are cheering for XR. Looks like they might just be walking by, but still great to see their support as they're going through. For everyone. Oh, Boris, you banker. Looks like we have some people joining us as well. In solidarity. These industries to end. Looks like they're going through, but it's so great that they're stopping here on the way as Animal Rebellion is outside of Barclays, demanding that they transition and stop investing into these destructive industries that are harming our planet and harming the animals. Just got a wave from the individual who's up top. Be interesting to see how they get them down. So the individual who's on top has stated that they refuse to come down until Barclays, the individuals in charge of Barclays, meet with them to discuss our demands. We got some honks, some people supporting as they drive by. As you can see across the road, we have individuals who are chalking as well, writing messages. Barclays is banking on betrayal, banking on destructive. They have blood on their hands. The government has blood on their hands. And we drastically need a transition to a just and sustainable plant-based food system. And that is why we are here. For those tuning in, we are in London, UK. This is day 4 of our 10-day rebellion. We have actions every single day happening. So if you are in the UK or in the London area, please, please, please come on by. You can check out all of our events for today, for tomorrow, for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and all the way to the 10th. And following on September 10th to the 13th, we will be traveling to HS2 to show solidarity. So if that's something that you're interested in, send us a DM and we can direct you to the Telegram chat to get more information on that, of transportation, how to get there, and what to kind of expect. So yeah, and for those who are tuning in right now and, you know, maybe you're self-isolating or you're unable to make it to London, we do have an online swarm happening right now as well with this action to put pressure on. So if you're using Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, in this description of this live stream, you can click on the Telegram chat, join in, and you can take part in the pressure on Barclays. So please, please, please check out the Telegram. There's something that you could be doing from home right now to be showing your support. So even though you might not be able to come down physically, there are things that you could be doing behind your phone, behind your computer. That is all super important in rebellion as well. There we go, passerby. Oh, look what's happening now. So it looks like we have a fishing rod, it looks like, and an earth. And we'll see what happens next. Looks like they will be dropping the earth. Wow. Look at that. Yes, of course, Tracy. So we are always peaceful and nonviolent. That is one of our principles and values, something that is really important to us. So we have nonviolent direct action trainings. So you can learn more about why we use nonviolence and how to best embody nonviolence, and not only the way that we act and behave, but also the way that we speak as well. It is all part of our strategy to create, hopefully, the change that we so desperately need. So as I was mentioning before, coming down to the rebellion is one way you can help. Joining the Telegram broadcast with swarming is one way you can help. But also, we are a decentralized movement, and anyone and everyone can take action in the name of animal rebellion as long as you follow the principles and values. So if it's something that you'd like to do in your own area, no matter where you are in the world, you can just take it upon yourself. You don't need to ask for permission. You don't need to, run anything by anyone. You can get a group of people together and take action, or, you can do something on your own as well. There's something for everyone that they can kind of take part in. So as we can see, the individual up top has just lowered a massive earth globe and individuals on the sidewalk are now putting blood on their hands. So we'll see how this kind of unfolds as well outside of the Barclays. So again, we are outside of Barclays, wanting them to stop investing in these destructive industries that are killing our planet and are exploiting animals. We need a transition to a just and sustainable plant-based food system, and the financial institutions and corporations are just one pillar of power that we put pressure on. So we focus on the government, but we also focus on media, education, corporations, all the things that uphold the system and the status quo in society. They're the ones that can make the change. It doesn't come down to each and every one of us to be making individual changes, but it comes down to each and every one of us coming together and putting pressure on these powerful institutions and pillars of society to create the change that we so drastically need. And I just saw, Ellie, you're unable to make it, but you're going to do the online action. That's sick. You can hop on right now to the Telegram, get what you need to know, and kind of, get the information there on the Telegram broadcast to be taking online action right now. So again, I'll cross the road to get a closer look of the earth for everyone who's joining in online, because I know with the cars crossing, it's a bit annoying, but also apologies for when I cross, you're probably not going to see anything interesting, because I'm just trying not to get hit. There we go. So again, we have people chalking. Got our earth suspended from the top. See, it's kind of hard to see from here what's going on. We have our massive earth, and it looks like blood is dripping out of the earth. Barclays has blood on their hand, the UK government has blood on their hand, the media has blood on their hands. We drastically need the change as blood's dripping out of this earth. So again, for those joining in, Animal Rebellion is in London, UK, outside of a Barclays on Tottenham Road.
I have no idea.
Anyone know
What's that?
how what are we doing about that?
Yeah, if people want to, but realizing it's a...
I'm a bit bored with this, like, sticky. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just a bit bored with it.
So it looks like things might escalate a little bit, so we're just going to wait here so we can get a good view of what's going to happen next.
Speaking in front of this bloody destruction of the earth, the Barclays
we're going to hear from the first speaker today at this action, Dora. Just getting a mic to hear. So as we can see, the earth that was dropped down from above has been destroyed and is bleeding, just like how Barclays is contributing to the earth's destruction.
I'm going to use this because my voice is not as strong as the previous ladies. And it's a risky thing apparently. If you stand on the street and tell the truth nowadays, you risk to be arrested. Like we saw yesterday when our ecologist, a peaceful, loving, educated scientist, got arrested because she dared to tell the truth about what happens with animal agriculture and pandemics and how they're interlinked. And that information seemed to really piss the authorities off. But anyway, here we are to tell the truth. Here we are to tell the truth because no one else is doing it. Apparently, it seems like we can't rely on the government to do that anymore. So we have to do the job. So Barclays is shutting the doors. We didn't ask them to do that, but they decided to do so. Apparently, we are not against the workers of Barclays and we are not against any individual. We emphasize what we heard previously, all the facts and all the reasons why we are here. So there we go. According to a recent study by Feedback Global, Barclays is the largest provider of loans and underwriting to the biggest beef and dairy industries. But these are the same companies who are lobbying the government at the moment to ensure a new agricultural bill, post-Brexit, that is going to ensure that cheap meat is being sold in the UK and is going to destroy farmers' livelihood in the United Kingdom. Barclays themselves said that they are going to work against climate change. Their very own chairman, Nigel Higgins, stated, "Our new ambition to be net zero and our commitment to align our financing portfolio across all sectors to the goals of the Paris Agreement will mean we can play much of a leader role in meeting the climate challenge and in financing energy transition." So that's what Barclays said, their own chairman. Yet they continue to pour money into disruptive businesses and industries and fund companies like JBS, the largest meat processing company in the world in Brazil, also responsible for deforestation and the killing of the Amazon rainforest. Tyson, Cargill, Dairy Farmers of America, and Fonterra, all huge meat processing companies. So we have a request to Barclays. We are here in rage and disappointment and absolute fear for our lives. And we are disgusted by the killing of animals, but we are here to talk. We have demands, and we invite Barclays to come out and speak to us. And I also invite them in a professional capacity. I'm very happy to improvise a People's Assembly right here with a conversation between us and talk about this matter that affects each and every one of us. So here's what we demand. We demand Barclays to defund and divest big livestock responsible for factory farming, climate destruction, animal suffering, Amazon deforestation. The second demand, we demand Barclays to meet their own sustainability targets and live up to their own promises and apply the same standards as they do for the energy sector. And the third demand is to save British farming. We know that there are methods and theories that exist how we can have a sustainable British farming system, which is not consistent with the current operation of Barclays. So we ask Barclays to come out and speak about our demand. And we are going to be here patiently waiting for them. And I trust that these educated, intellectual people are going to come out and have a conversation with us.
So again, for those who are joining into the live stream, we are outside of Barclays. We're up top. I'll walk across the street so you can see there is an individual with a banner. They had dropped the globe on a string, and we had a little bit of a theatrical performance talking about how Barclays is contributing to the destruction of the planet, and as you can see, blood coming out of the globe.
I've been chanting too much, so you know, you win, you lose. Thank you. Yeah, so now let's introduce our next speaker. So we have two amazing speakers who are coming up, so I'm not sure who's going first. So I think it's Marco and Karina. Whoever comes to the mic first, I'm going to give it to you. There we go. Wow. Go for it. Let's all give some love to Karina.
Hi everyone, my name's Karina. I'm from Feedback Global. I'm going to be repeating some of the things the previous speakers have said. But before I begin, I think it's worth remembering there are right now 23 billion chickens, 1.5 billion heads of cattle, 1.2 billion pigs, sheep and goats alive in the world today. Most of them living in miserable conditions. Today, millions will be slaughtered, putting an end to their short, miserable lives. Let's never forget that the business of industrial meat and dairy production is the business of suffering on a mass scale of sentient beings. And in addition to this suffering, this is an industry that is wreaking havoc on the planet on a truly apocalyptic scale. With regards to climate change, as we've heard, the big companies have carbon footprints that rival the carbon footprints of the oil and gas giants. Current growth trajectories that these companies declare, they will account for at least 80% of the global carbon budget by 2030 to remain below 1.5 degrees. And let's not forget as well, it's the climate justice issue. These big livestock corporations enrich those in the global north, while the devastating impacts of climate change will be most acutely felt in the global south. Deforestation. Deforestation. This is the industry that is driving deforestation. At least 70% of deforestation can be traced directly to these companies, driving 200 species to extinction every day. Not only are these companies killing the animals on their factory farms, they are also destroying wildlife and the natural world on which we all depend. Given their current growth trajectories, at least 3 million square kilometers of new land will be required to grow the grain to feed this industry in some of the world's most ecologically sensitive regions. And it's not just the natural world. Hello, gentlemen. Some social distance. It's not.
So we have police.
Replacement for social distancing guidelines. It's not just planetary destruction this industry is wreaking. It's also got a terrible toll on human lives, livelihoods, health and security. It's well known that small-scale farmers and indigenous communities have been driven off their lands by big livestock corporations and grain speculators in Kenya, in China, in Brazil and elsewhere. Meatpacking industry jobs are at best inhumane and undignified, at worst hazardous, and at least 65% of meatpacking workers in the States have reported accidents on the job. But I think it's really the COVID-19 crisis that's really brought home the complete disregard big livestock corporations have for the health and life of their employees. Meatpacking plants have been at the epicenter of numerous outbreaks of COVID-19 in Germany, in the UK, in the States. In the States, 40,000 meatpacking employees have tragically caught coronavirus, many of them Black, Latino and Asian, and 200 have lost their lives. This is an industry that needs to end for our climate, for the natural world, for the climate, for the natural world, and for human life and well-being. So This is why we're here. This industry relies for its continued existence on the backing, financial and moral backing of financial institutions all around the world. We cannot get rid of them while these industries are funded by these financial institutions. So the organisation I worked for decided to map every financial institution, pension funds, banks, asset managers who have provided finance to the big 35 biggest livestock corporations in the last 5 years. I'm just going to share briefly some of our findings. It turns out this industry has benefited from $478 billion of funding from 2,500 institutions around the world, many of them, to our shame, headquartered here in London. So high street names such as HSBC, the folk here at Barclays, but also pension providers such as Legal and General and Standard Prudential and others. We want this industry to stop. We want finance to stop lending to this industry. Now, just a few examples. Since we're at Barclays, it seems only polite to hone in on Barclays. Barclays likes to say it supports British food and farming in its literature, but actually, Barclays is the second largest provider of credit to the 35 largest global transnational meat and dairy corporation, providing in the tune of 15 billion of financing in the last 5 years. It is financing some of the most egregious companies out there. To give you a few examples, the likes of Tyson or WH Group, Hormel, these are the big American firms that have shamelessly profited on the back of the pandemic crisis in the States. These are the firms, when the pandemic hit their plants, rather than slowing down production or shutting down factories, these are the very firms that told the American people that they were at risk of food shortages, and so they ramped up production, but not for the domestic market, but for exports, and while recording record dividends to their shareholders. Barclays are also funding Cargill. Cargill is the largest privately held company in the world and one of the most secretive. Cargill has a long track record of never meeting its deforestation targets and is one of the greatest polluters in the States, polluting America with the likes of mercury, asbestos and lead. Cargill also has an interest in animal feed, including Scottish salmon farming here in the UK, which is one of the most inhumane forms of factory farming there is today, if little known. Finally, they are funding JBS. JBS is well and truly the poster child for everything that is wrong with this industry. JBS is the largest meat and dairy corporation in the world, a Brazilian giant, well known for its human rights violations, for corporate governance failings, and unequivocal links to deforestation in their supply chains. We simply cannot move to a more sustainable, a more compassionate world while this industry exists. We cannot begin to solve the climate crisis, the health crisis, while this industry exists. It needs to end. For this to happen, we need to name the banks and financial institutions that are funding big livestock corporations. We need to name them, we need to shame them, and we need to hold them to account. We need to end this industry, and Barclays needs to stop funding it immediately. Thank you.
That was amazing. And a reminder that we're here. We did not ask Barclays to close down today. They've done that themselves. And we're not just here to cause mindless inconvenience. We have 3 demands, and we're asking them to respect those. And we're happy for them to continue on if they respect these 3 demands. Those 3 demands are to defund and divest in big livestock. They're responsible for factory farms, climate destruction, animal suffering, antimicrobial resistance, and Amazon deforestation. We're asking them to meet their sustainability targets. We're asking them to live up to their promises. This is not us asking them to do stuff that they've never had any intention to do. This is asking us to live up to the promises you've made us. We're asking them to live up to their promises. And we're telling them that we're not going to stop until they live up to these sustainability targets and actually, you know, exceed them. Not the bare minimum. We're asking for that. We're asking them to actually save British farming. We're asking them to follow through with the commitments they've made to British farmers and invest in a transition to plant-based agriculture and small-scale farmers, which we know is the future. We know big industrial farms are never going to be the future. I'm going to introduce our third speaker now. We're so happy to have with us today. I'm going to introduce Marco Springman, who's a researcher at the food... Oh my God, I'm so sorry everyone. He's a researcher at the Future Food Project at the University of Oxford. So everyone give him some love. It's amazing to have him with us today.
Hello everybody. So I want to talk to you in my role as a researcher. We are here to raise awareness about the role the financial industry and their investments play in driving climate change and environmental destruction. For 10 years now, there have been calls to divest from companies in the fossil fuel industry due to their impact on fueling climate change. And there have been many success stories, including pension funds, cities, universities, and philanthropic organizations committing to divest from fossil fuels and align their activities with avoiding dangerous levels of climate change and limiting global warming to less than 2 degrees Celsius. Now it is time to also include large-scale animal agriculture as divestment target. The livestock industry is responsible for around 15% of all greenhouse gas emissions and therefore a major driver of climate change. An international team of researchers and I estimated that without concerted action, livestock-related emissions could double by 2050. If that were to happen, livestock emissions alone would take up more than the entire emissions budget the food system has to play its part to limit global warming to below 2 degrees. Or said in another way, without large-scale reductions in the production and consumption of animal-sourced foods, it will be almost impossible to avoid dangerous levels of climate change. And that's even if we achieve the decarbonization of the energy system, the electrification of the transport system, reductions in food loss and waste, better socioeconomic development, and improved agricultural management and efficiency. In short, the livestock industry is one of the greatest obstacles in curtailing climate change and achieving a sustainable future. At the same time, meat and junk food heavy diets are currently the #1 cause for premature mortality in the world. According to our estimates, imbalanced diets that are high in red and processed meat and low in fruits and vegetables are responsible for more than 10 million deaths globally. That's 20% of all deaths. In the UK, the figure stands at over 100,000 deaths. That's right, double what the current COVID epidemic is responsible for so far. 100,000 deaths that could be avoided with a shift towards more plant-based diets. This unsustainable and unhealthy food system the livestock sector has helped create survives not only because of politicians who shy away from properly regulating our food environment or agricultural pollution, or consumers who don't want to hear about the health and environmental harms that beef, dairy and other animal products are causing, or even the livestock farmers who understandably fear for their livelihoods without the needed support to retrain and replant. No, the sector also survives because of the financial backing provided by banks and other investors. According to the mentioned report by Feedback, global meat and dairy companies received investments of over 407 billion by investment firms, banks and pension funds between 2015 and 2020. One of the largest backers of big livestock is Barclays. Barclays, the same bank that over the last 3 years was Europe's biggest financer of fossil fuel companies. Shame on you, Barclays. And shame on all the other banks, firms and funds that put our environment and health in danger. We know that a different future is possible, one that does not include the burning of fossil fuels, the pollution of the environment, the sacrificing of people's health in favor of companies' profits. Let us stand together to call for divestment from big coal, oil and livestock that so clearly stand in the way of tackling climate change and put our health and the health of our planet at risk. Animal
Rebellion!
extinction!
Rebellion!
Thank you.
Woo!
Amazing, thank you so much, Marco. I think, you know, what does it say? That we come here in peace, we come here in love, we come here with non-violence, we come here to have with demands for Barclays, we come here to talk. We want them to come out and talk to us, and what do? They close their doors. They close their doors in the face of the scientists, they close their doors in the face of the rebels. We want to talk to Barclays. We don't want them to shut the door in our faces. This is proof that they're going back on their promises. They have no commitment. They're going to keep putting profit over people, over animals, over this planet. And we don't think that's good enough, do we? No. They need to put people over profit. They need to put animals over profit. They need to put the planet over profit. So we're going to stay here today. We're in solidarity with our rebel up there in the roof is saying no more Barclays, no more. We're here, no more. So I'm going to invite everyone to sit down.
Thank you for stopping me from getting my money out today. Thank you for wasting all of these time.
So, just to make it very clear, when we were here,
We understand that this is an inconvenience, but you know what? I think the next pandemic is going to be even more inconvenient.
just to also clarify, we have not shut down outside of Barclays. The police have actually shut it down. We have just been on the sidewalk allowing people to go into the business. That was not what we were trying to do.
Take a seat. I have some songs. I think it might get a bit.
I'm going to show for those who have just joined sitting down, and as I mentioned before, we did not shut down Barclays. The police have. All we had was an individual up top, which you can see kind of up there across the road, with a giant banner that says plant-based food system. And I will cross the road in which it looks like now. So again, we have individuals outside of Barclays with a rebel on top. Earlier, if you once live stream's done and you can watch it, we had a giant globe drop from the top of Barclays, and individuals symbolically hitting it, just like how Barclays and all these financial institutions and the UK government are all making our planet bleed, making animals bleed. They all have blood on their hands, and we need this to stop. We need these destructive industries to stop investing into these industries that are killing our planet, killing animals, and exploiting people and killing people. As you've heard in the speeches, they way better well-spoken than myself trying to explain that. But as for now, again, for those tuning in, if you are in the London area, please come by and show your support to the individual who has gone on top, and for us outside of Barclays. And additionally, if you are able to and you're by a phone or a computer, you can join our Telegram chat as well to help with the swarming. I'm gonna sign off for now, and I'll see you later.